design discussion that how to solve it in a generic way. So we need to figure out that part. And regarding Nova, encryption was brought up in the spec review when we proposed it for Mitaka. I think we could start without the solving the encryption issue, so support only non-encrypted volumes, and then as a follow-up we could extend it. If we can have an agreement on this, then I will add this to the spec, and we can, I guess, more quickly proceed with this. So let's solve the easier general part first, and then add the encryption on top. I guess it's doable in a step-by-step way like this. And if anyone would like to help in the implementation, then please find me on IRC. That's my IRC link. So you can also see the top link is the mail I sent out about the feature with all the links to the specs and the Gerrit patches and everything. So mainly this is where we are at the moment. I don't know whether you have questions, comments, anything else that should be raised here that we should discuss. Or
doesn't this work overlap with the refactor of the Cinder Nova API that sort of needs to happen?
Well,
is this based on the existing API or the proposed future API? Or?
I think the Nova code today, as it stands, is against the existing Cinder changes that were done back in Kilo.
So if we go ahead with the Nova Cinder API refactor, then this would be effective. Right?
yeah, but if we went with that, that's a long-term, complex thing. I mean, yeah, yeah. You can't block. I don't think it's good to block this saying, well, someday we're going to make the API better, so let's wait, and we may not do that.
If we can kind of keep in touch, and I don't know whether I can add anyone to the review of the Nova part, and then guys, you can raise a flag that hey, we are changing this API. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
that would be well known, and I don't think that's going to happen too quickly, if it were to happen at all. So it seems like there's two things. One is Cinder bug. Can we get some eyes on that? So yeah.
One thing that I don't have enough background. I mean, I understand why it's tricky, but the non-encrypted volumes, anytime we do the little caveats like that, because from our perspective, especially on the Cinder side, we don't actually know necessarily what that type means or anything else without having quite a bit of checks in there. So that's kind of annoying.
Is that just the encrypt book stuff where they like automatically stick the encrypted from? Is that what that means?
Yeah, it's because they do that second device.
Yeah.
So does that mean skipping encryption is bad, John? Or
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's something that kind of makes me a little concerned. But if the Nova folks in particular are okay with it,
I mean, what is the problem with encryption? I mean, I haven't looked at this in detail, but I can't imagine what would cause problems.
it's harder to figure out how to make multi-attached work because you've got multiple devices already.
On the same device, on the same backup device.
So if you look at the implementation of how that encryption works, it's going through that other VM device.
Right.
Yeah, we have the encryptor, and
Yeah, and you can't actually do, at least I don't know how, and I'm assuming this is why it's on there. I don't actually know how to do multiple connections into that single, that secondary VM.
But that thing lives on the compute node, that second.
Correct.
So it's only a problem if you try to do multi-attach for two VMs that run on the same compute node. Oh, I know it can. I'm just asking, is that what you're concerned about?
No, so my concern is if we say, so back up, what we're saying here is multi-attached. Most of that code we've got figured out and working, right? And things are okay, except in the case of an encrypted volume.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not sure. Are you talking about you've got a multi-attach? I guess Dan, I don't really understand why it's different for.
I don't think it's going to be, from the Nova side, I don't really see it being a big showstopper. I mean, you have the master volume, and we put a DM encrypt on top of it, and we point to new instances of the DM encrypt.
Well, no, that's only. I mean, that's only if they're running on the same computer.
Yeah, it's on the same computer.
So
that's the only.
But you can do multi-attach with VMs running on different.
Yeah, that should work.
Right.
Except it breaks encryption. Why? So if you have on separate nodes,
Yeah.
separate compute nodes, it won't work because the file system that the encryption is using, it's not going to work. That's my understanding.
But the encrypt operates at the blocks level with stack.
Right. Well, we can try it. That's cool. It's on there. So I thought it should be,
If you're running a cluster-aware file system,
I fully
it
get
sits
that.
above the de-encrypt layer, and two de-encrypt layers are using the same key on separate nodes.
I think it should work.
Yeah, I don't see.
Well, then just take that line out.
Or negotiating or anything?
I assume that line was there for a reason, but apparently it's not.
Well, that's pretty good. It's completely
Completely
irrelevant. It's not even see if there's encrypted nodes encrypted.
I'm not saying it's not an issue, I don't know what the issue is.
So.
Well, that's what I was asking. If that's the way it's not an issue. It's not
Is it just because?
I thought it was an issue because it's on there.
Is it just because you haven't solved all the problems with encrypted volumes that you want to support non-encrypted only first? Or is it because you think there's?
So currently myself, I'm not the expert of the encryption. So I had the same questions that how it will work when I have to compute host and the two instances and how the encryptor will work together with those.
The thing Dan was saying is actually an optimization. So, Dan, we should be able to do two de-encrypts on top of the same base device. It won't be very efficient, but it would, that, right, right. So that, the optimization would be not doing another de-encrypt device if we've already got one initialized on the compute node for that volume. But that's, I think we can do that optimization later.
And actually, I mean, there's going to be further options. One of the things I'm working on right now is support for Lux de-encrypt format directly in QMU, which, by the way, if you need any of this de-encrypt layer, and that's all QMU will do it later.
Well, but that will be actually the closer to the unoptimized version where we don't, we just do it the same on any.
We'll just simplify the code. I think
No, totally. Okay, so just to kind of circle back, does that mean we really want to see encrypted volume supported in the first iteration?
No, I think what we're saying is we don't need to worry about it. I don't think
It should just be business as usual.
Okay, so is there anything else? I mean, you are looking for help. We need to look at a cinder bug.
So I thought she said that, did you say the code for this is up in Nova or just the spec?
There's code too. The REST API is not finished yet. I'm in the code part, and we also need to rebase it again. And
Okay, so the link you have up there is just for the Nova spec, right?
yeah, but the top link, the mail contains, I think, all the links that's needed. It should, at least, I hope. Yeah, there is the review topic for Nova. That one, yeah.
Okay, and I don't want to cut this off prematurely, but we have other topics sitting there. So
Yeah,
just,
anyway, guys, regarding this encryption, could you add either a comment to the Nova spec review or to the teaser? Oh, thank you very much. Because then we can move forward with that one.
does that address everything you wanted to address?
Well,
Aside from volunteers, nobody's jumping up, but.
but the volunteers can find me. So yeah, if yeah, I just spoke to Walt. He said that he will look at the Cinderbug part, and we talked about encryption too. So that should be okay, I assume. While I will catch up with the guys if something pops up later that's not working. And yeah, volunteers, please come.
I can help coordinate the Cinder side of the multi-attach stuff since I am kind of responsible for that.
Good, great, thanks. Yeah, so you can see all the reviews, links, and specs.
Okay, should we move to the next subject or about 4 or 5?
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. That's you, Walt.
All right, so this next one we kind of turned on a little bit in IRC at the end of Liberty. So with the OS Brick library, I think it's one of the first libraries that we've seen that needs root wrap capability, and the projects that are using them need to pull in the root wrap changes that live in Brick now. And this is Nova and Cinder. So I guess there's a lot of discussion as to how to go about making that happen in an efficient and smart and way so that we're not copying and pasting. Because right now we're basically copying and pasting the changes that are in Brick into Nova as well as Cinder. We want to get away from that.
The couple, everything. To
Yes,
like
and
comic versions, which is not good.
yeah, it's not good, and that's one of the reasons why we created this library to begin with, is to get rid of that decoupling.
So I don't know if Gus is in the room, but the awesome conversation about this has happened. So there is crib stuff is basically the sort of replacement for root graph that will stop using root graph Etsy files and instead use code annotation to do this, which means the library story is a much more reasonable story that is released in the next week or two, but it does mean the fix for this is move from root graph to crib step in Nova, Cinder, and OS Brick this cycle.
Okay.
It's going to be ready until that from the studio, like telling to review and stabilize.
Sure, but until that happens, this couple, like, the OS Brick actually regressed the coupling story.
What's the probability of Nova doing that?
So Gus is going to help kind of open things. A big part of it is just seeing what the changes are. But it seems like we kind of put ourselves in a bad state. We want to do it again with the OS library, and like, which definitely OS library is going to have all sorts of root level calls, right? Like, so we can't like glue the entire world back together. Building a library that glues the entire world back together is sort of useful this building library.
Yeah.
What is, I mean, what are the requirements for using crib set? I mean, can we just use it in the OS library without we convert any of it over?
No, you actually, the context, you have to create the context by which you're going to run effectively in things that look like root files that has to be owned in the servers. And then the library will be annotated running those contexts. The servers have to go first.
So it's a prerequisite to convert it over.
Yes.
To use this before we can use it in OS.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, it's correct.
Yes.
Watch that.
Yes.
But we need the changes in both, right? So, I mean, I could start looking at the changes needed for Brick, and I can put a patch up however long that takes, and it could just stay there until.
Sure. And Gus said that after you can get the release in the next like week or two, and that would help kind of with the first pass of what this looks like. He was going to originally go off and convert Neutron, but they wanted this for some other reasons. But when I said we're all blocked on this, he said that he would put eyes on this okay first.
You also don't have to convert everything to this stop being able to use it in the break.
Sure.
I see. So if I create a patch for crib set for Brick, that doesn't mean that there's no root graph capability, or?
Right. So we would have to add support for this stuff in Nova and the context needed that OS Brick can use.
Excellent.
But we don't have to remove every root graph thing in Nova all at the same time. Okay. The stuff that's outside the scope of the library.
So we should feel that.
That was sort of the conversations.
Okay.
That answered all that.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
So we've bantied around the idea of making some changes to the Cinder API to make it clear to do things like, one, not make somebody calls the database to get the volume state, using some kind of current swap to be a little more atomic. And when Nova calls Cinder for attach and detach, it's an asynchronous call, but there's never really any callback or polling to determine if the attach or detach succeeded on the Cinder side, which has led to bugs and it's led to inconsistencies in the database. When we loaded a force detach API change to Nova, some of the pushback was, why don't we just fix the Cinder API? And we can do that, but then Nova would have to change to consume these changes. This is just a very high level question. Is this important? Do people think it's a good idea? Is it worth even going down the road? It's a lot of work on reviewers as well as implementers' part.
So I have a question. In I don't know, some release back, we introduced this inbound event handling thing in Nova that is fairly robustly designed so that you can deliver us a ton of events for a bunch of different instances and we efficiently distribute them to people who are waiting for them. And we use that for Neutron so that we now don't make really stupid assumptions about, well, we have to Neutron the plug, I'm sure.
Say, analogous situation.
So then I propose to do this exact thing when, like, just after you introduce the
Right, it was not good.
Well, I think after we talked about this on an email thread, I thought that it might be an overkill for volumes for some reason, but I don't remember exactly why. I think that's the right model. I'm not sure, how
Well,
exactly.
when we brought it up with Cinder, Cinder didn't like the idea at all. But I figure now.
Even patches were proposed.
Yeah. But I think that now maybe we're getting to the point where Cinder maybe sees the need for it. So do you have any opinion on that? Or
As far as like that sounds great because it's already plumbed and we could use it. And that solves a big problem, which is the same thing that Neutron had. You call and assume it works. It doesn't always work. And
we could literally just throw one or more Cinder events into a list of things that we accept. And there's already infrastructure plumbed all the way through Nova to have a compute node that's waiting for that thing to very efficiently block for amount of time until that event comes in. And it would just be nice to not have a different way of doing that.
no, there's no need for that. That's great. And that, the changes could be iterative in the sense of, well, that can be added and that solves some problems. And then other things could be added as we,
Right.
But as far as like hitting the database, that's really an optimization, but we do hit the database about 7 times to attack a volume and catch a volume. It seems crazy to keep checking to see if the state is appropriate so many times and things like that.
I mean, there are lots of like interaction issues, right? But I feel like a lot of them that end up with in the edge where we're doing like kind of aggressive polling against you.
Right.
Yeah. That's where the event really would.
Right. That's great. So really the question was for this session, is this a good road to go down? Is there anybody who's going to raise their hand and say, no way, this is dumb, or I'll -2 it, or
So there was one thing that changed. Events aren't going to fix all of this, and some of our calls just have the wrong semantics in terms of failure. So sometimes no calls in there, and no, we're not expecting that call to fail, despite that something being completely wrong state. So in several of those cases, we expect the call is locked in the on lock until the volume means they don't either get an error that nobody expects or at least succeed. When we try to fix it in Nova, and some of the other Nova cases, we've told you changing your API, you can't do that. Microversions don't solve that problem for us because it's still this core old version, and the old version is fundamentally broken. Yeah. So in some cases, we still like to add some more error cases for our API, where particularly when Nova doesn't get state guessing, that state guessing is out of date, and Nova can't do it in basic. So Nova is checking the statements in the saying, okay, as soon as in the line they don't carry on, that statement will change under it. Nova can't handle that error state.
So that should be removed. That's completely broken. I was complaining about this, where like check state is just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It should be removed.
But when we offered up patches to do exactly that, we got -2. This is you changing your API contract with Nova. You can't do that.
So
does you updating our notion of the current state more often and efficiently help that at all?
Helps the basics and all that, and you can get the base window, but I want the base window gone. It's fundamentally broken to do that in a racy way.
Yeah.
Cinder can do that comically, Nova can't ever.
and so right now Nova checks the state and assumes it's all good. Then makes the call, and if the call fails later, that's when Nova blows up.
reserve volume.
Right, reserve volume and beginning catching.
Yes, yeah, and so that kind of solves it. We should just never ever use it that check that.
So what you just said is that, or no, New Duncan said that Cinder can do something atomically that Nova can't. So can we just have Nova stop calling one of the APIs? You continue to do it atomically, but we won't ever call it anymore. We call another API that says, hey, we're going to expect an event back when you're done with that. And then, it's an async thing that we ask you to do, and we wait for the event to call back. Then we just stop calling that API and it all shakes out over time when.
Yes, it's really, the question is, are we willing to make the code changes? And of course, we have to make sure we support old server semantics.
Calling a new API and expecting different behavior is totally cool. It's the changing the behavior of an existing API, which we're not.
And you'll still have to carry the code, there'll still have to be a mechanism, because people don't always upgrade Cinder with Nova. So if you're new Nova, if you're new Nova, you have to be able to call that old Cinder.
So I remember there was a problem with check attachments. That's why I wanted to remove it and never did. And that's that. So it's a colon Nova volume.py or something that also checks for availabilities, which I'm not really sure. Yeah, I mean it's broken, but it's the reason why I was never really comfortable with removing that.
Yeah, we actually had an availability zone discussion yesterday, and we were wanting to move forward with a solution that will make it so that if an operator is using availability zones in the way that they expect Nova and Cinder availability zones to be the same, that we honor and respect that. And if they have no availability zone in Cinder because they're using Ceph or something, but they have no Nova availability zones, that will still work too. We're trying to figure out a way to make sure we don't break anybody and yet keep the problem that arose with the bug recently. Something changed in Nova that we had to jump on. I forget the details, but there was something in this last month or two where something broke. We had to jump in and put a kind of a kludgy fix in. But so we will address. I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed. But really, the only thing I want to do right here and now was say, if we start down this road, is it worth the investment of everybody's time? Because it's a lot of review and a lot of work.
Because it's an important step to adding the new API. We need to remove the old one. It can be in a release time, it can be two releases time, but keeping that old API no longer semantics is holding back the internal system.
I don't know.
I'm personally cold for this kind of stuff. Like it makes no sense for any of us to be bug compatible. It's insane, like it's. But I mean, I think I'm in amendment.
So I agree with that, but I mean, if we start calling new API that has the right semantics, then they can screw their users over later whenever they want, right?
Yeah, so I have no problem with this.
Right.
I imagine other people.
One of my thoughts was to keep the API there, but spread people even lose touch by the new API, or when you call some flag, just to keep the thing we say never move an API. We'll say, okay, once a volume has been touched by the new API, that one can never be touched again by the old API. The old API, anything else that what sensible semantics, will be the our return.
Well, you definitely have old and new no computers talking.
Just like
You got to score those in parallel. So we have one release like say that.
That's all you need to do.
Okay, so we could drop it in.
Well, it depends on when we start.
That's kind of your prerogative to decide if you use it, I guess.
And I don't want to solve every problem here. I just want to really say, is this a good idea? And if everybody's okay with getting it, we can hash out specs and details, and it's going to take time. But
So we're saying we're going to be okay with dropping it.
I don't even know if that's true. I mean, Duncan's made this assertion that we need to do this, but I don't. That's a technical detail. I don't think we need to solve it right now.
We're being vague though, right? So we've said a couple things that are not vague and a lot of things that are vague. So the question that Nova doesn't need to call check attachment is not really true, right? Check attachment that explicitly Nova probably doesn't ever need to call. So are we saying that Nova doesn't check to see that begin detachment or not? Like, is that the one case where we're talking where you have like incorrect exception handling, or like which one? What is the actual problem?
I think I should check to see if begin attaching words.
Right, that's my question. Is that what we're saying? Are we saying that Nova does not handle begin detaching failing?
There's no try block, and if you throw an exception, it
Fair
doesn't
enough. I mean,
handle
that
it.
seems like just a big bug.
That's
You know?
yeah.
So it used to fail one way, now it fails a different way?
It used to be played,
It never fails?
or just hang your cloud of solid.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it seems like most sites need to just fix their bugs and like have the detach problems go away.
Yeah, but then there's room for cleanup, like not doing check detach and such in Nova, and
Yeah, there's definitely stuff we got to do. So, yeah, I think having these kind of things as part of the public contract is opening ourselves up for a lot of problems that we maybe don't need. Because the only code is ever going to use this API and Nova. Like, we might want to think about not making it as strict as, or versioning it in a different way that's not like so strict. But again, I'm in the minority.
yeah.
No.
Okay, well, we can go forward with technical details. I just really wanted to sort of float the idea, and I don't want to take up more time, so.
Yep.
Jay,
Yes,
extend attached volumes.
okay, so this is an item that we've had on the table here for a little while. The simpler side of the code to make it happen is not terribly complicated, but when we brought it up, I think it was Duncan is concerned that, we can't just do that and not let Nova know that we're doing it, because we need to be able to reach into the compute node and get it to rescan the bus to resize the disk so that that can be passed up through the group. So
We have this event mechanism.
So, I think from the previous discussion, the answer is we put together a spec. We proposed we use your new inbound event.
It's not new, it's just new for you.
Okay. Now that I have been educated, we can. So, is there any concerns then if we try to do that with doing that and proposing it up?
There's a hand raised behind you.
It's probably Duncan. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, Duncan. How are you?
You understand event mechanism, right? Can we get an event back to them? Because we need to know you've done it before we finish the image though.
Well, I mean, we can do anything you want when the event comes in. So, and the compute node already calls the sender, so it can call the sender again afterwards. If it's done.
You guys being in that API.
Yeah, so we just add an event API that says, that all says back, whatever.
We call it once event.
I mean, what do you think that you want notified? He's concerned that we'll get back to the state where we'll make an assumption that just because we sent the event to know that it actually happened, right? We give them some kind of actual confirmation that says, yes, Bill's going to do this or why. What do you? Don't ask me, ask him. Just look up to update and bring the volume.
No.
What are you saying? What do you ask? Tell him. When knows the guest that the volume size has changed, we got no guarantee the guest is going to do anything with that information. I don't know, but it's just nice.
Well, if it's a state transit, are you talking about the volume will go into an extending state and you can go back to active or something? So if they want to impose that, then fine, right?
Just until it's coded, I'm not sure they can do that. I just want to make sure it's a possibility.
It's possible.
You've got to go change it. We can tell you that we'll show you things we've done.
If he's just talking about consistency in what they're exposing to their users, not that they can never make the assumption that the guest has done it right? It's just
well, unless there's an expectation that you can shrink them all.
No. That's why it's called extend.
No.
It's not resize.
it's a possibility. Let's deal with it.
You're being recruited by non-node computers as well.
But it doesn't matter. Cinder doesn't care if the guest knows this is the right size.
Yeah, it doesn't care.
Cinder
We resize the volume. Then we're done. We don't care.
The Cinder side of it to do is change the check of the
Whatever, 30.
We don't need to design this feature.
Jay, what else do you need here and now?
I think that's it, and we will put the spec up and we will update the existing spec to discuss whether we need the API call or not.
Okay. And we'll talk about it. Are you good?
Yep, thank you.
So bugs, I don't know necessarily where to go with this, but the fact is there's a lot of bugs that have Nova and have the body tag. And what can we do to make better progress? I did some triaging of the high priority ones. I don't know if it's worth it to sort of put people, query. There should have been a link there that had notes to keep you from having a break. Marcus, is he here? Hi. Here the bugs are. Okay. So I just kind of looked at all the things, and at the end of each one is sort of a whole thing like needs attention from Nova Core for this one bug. Scroll up a little bit. I don't know anything. I don't know that we can find a better way to deal with all this. It just seems like things fall through the cracks because these bugs probably need some Cinder review or eyes to help. Or it just seems like we've got a lot of bugs and they all just sit there and.
First, the top one, the problem with that was it's delivered specific thing, and the problem is that we weren't passing lock devices into a thing that happens periodically and not very useful for cache. We now have a way to efficiently do this, so it's, I think it's hard, maybe not. But yeah, that's volume file system related thing. That can be reasonable.
Okay, that top one.
So in a cycle.
Is anybody actually actively working on this? Is it kind of bounced between people?
Well, so there's one guy who wants to work with this, and he picked it up. And he needs to base his patch on the fact that we now have a way to do a single query, get all the block device information over the course. Because the problem was you need this, and without the database change, you would have to go like the land queries.
It does that into one.
Yeah. So that's what was missing, and it's there now, or should be.
One of the main issues I had, because I put it into the user pad was the 10 triage bug. I don't have enough deep knowledge to know if they are high priority or low priority.
Okay.
And
Well,
I do the triage every morning, and at least 1 or 2 bugs are somehow volume related. And I need help to skim the untriaged bugs.
okay.
That's the main issue.
You can ping Scott.
Yeah,
Or me.
ping me or Walt, and we'll look or get somebody with more expertise in that area to look and start with that. Maybe Cinder needs a bug jar.
We can pick the whole
Have one.
If you can pick the whole channel, but if you pick one person, then you got this. You know.
And we should bring this up in our meetings as well, to make sure that we're paying attention to these.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think I wanted to bring up here is I don't think we're paying attention to the Nova volume bugs. And so start with me and Walt,
We definitely will pay attention.
and then we'll figure it out. And I don't think, I don't know, we've got 5 minutes, but I don't know. We're digging into any of those other bugs. There's a few of them that are needs consensus. I don't know.
Anybody know any of them here that?
Anybody want to talk about any of these? Eric, you had an NFS one signed. Do you want to talk about that?
No,
No, you just talked about that one. Volume,
it's not actually.
no assignee, multi-path line migration, no assignee, no assignee.
A couple of those are old.
Yeah, needs repro on Liberty. How do we do the, you know? Does it just sit there saying needs repro with Liberty? Or do we get the person who filed the bug to do that? Or I don't care if they just sit there, but it's, you probably do, Marcus. So what do you guys have? I don't know, that's up to you, I guess. If it needs a repro, you have your policy on that.
I'm not sure if there's
Okay, volume.
A lot of the live migration stuff has changed since Havana, so.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Maybe part of talking about this in the weekly center meeting is getting and keeping an updated list.
yeah.
You know.
So,
A separate category for Nova volume bugs as far as, yeah.
so a couple of these we've discussed, marking valid and then marking.
Okay, well, anybody have anything else besides, I mean, I don't know that we're gonna
I
get,
think this Cinder volume is stuck in swamp volume. I think I plus two that patch is just making some respect.
okay,
Or, yeah.
okay.
So if somebody wants to do it.
Yes. Yes. A lot of people on the Cinder side have tested live migration. I don't know if any of us have actually tested these specific issues.
So, with some of the multi-node testing stuff, and there's going to be some more specific, like line migration test job to test a lot of different scenarios that Nova supports. So this kind of scenario can be reconstructed in a two-node environment in the gate, like whatever, explaining what that needs to be, including we might probably have the cycle we're going forward, like fault injection is an option.
Didn't we get a live migration test pushed in Liberty?
So there is live migration testing that's been in Tempest for a while. The multi-node job has got some other issues, so like some other tests. So it's not coding right now.
Okay.
That we want to have that change this cycle, and to make a tighter like thing, mostly around live migration, to make that voting just about live migration.
Okay.
We can. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else someone wants to, any other things to bring up while everybody's together? Any other issues? Cool. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.